Hi guys, so I wanted to show you this very interesting clip where Neale Richmond, who is the Irish government's European spokesperson, and Jim Allister, the leader of the Traditional Unionist Voice Party and a former member of the European Parliament, who represents a party now to the right of the DUP, they had a bit of a clash in this clip. Jim asks a question of Mr. Richmond which involves sovereignty and representation. He described how Ireland is slavish to the European Union, but the entire framing of his question is a perfect reason why Jim shouldn't actually be a Brexiteer, but a rejoiner. Let's hear what he had to say.
But let me just ask Neale a very simple question. Could he ever see himself tolerating a situation where 2/3 of the laws governing his economy were made in a foreign jurisdiction, laws he couldn't change, laws he had no influence over, laws of which he was just a rule taker? Now, of course, by being a slavish member of the EU, he already puts himself in that position, but at least he has some representation. I'm talking about a situation that we're in, where we are rule takers of laws we cannot make, cannot change, overseen by a foreign court in which we have no representation. Now, any self-respecting Democrat would have to say that is wrong, and yet that is the essence, that is the core.
Well, let's put that to Neale Richmond.
And that is the transfer of sovereignty, which makes it constitutional change, which has happened without consent, despite the Belfast Agreement.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time here now. You've posed a question which a lot of people will be saying is a perfectly valid question. Neale Richmond, how do you respond to it?
Well, I don't believe it's a valid question, Mark. I think it's a deliberate misrepresentation once again from Jim, in the same way that Northern Ireland didn't vote for Brexit, but Jim is prepared to ignore that. We have a situation
United Kingdom did.
There he proves his point. Richmond said the people of Northern Ireland didn't vote for Brexit, and Jim ignores that point. And what does Jim say? The UK did. So when it comes to the protocol, Jim and Brexiteers like the DUP, Jeffrey Donaldson and others, they will say the people of Northern Ireland are not being listened to. The democracy in Northern Ireland is being trampled upon. Why aren't you listening to us? Why don't you take our opinion seriously? Why are we being forgotten? And as soon as you raise the point that the people of Northern Ireland didn't vote for Brexit, Jim Allister's response is, I don't give a crap about how the people of Northern Ireland voted. It's irrelevant. Who gives a crap if the people of Northern Ireland voted against Brexit? So when it comes to the protocol, please listen to the people of Northern Ireland. But when it comes to Brexit, who gives a crap about the people of Northern Ireland?
I'll finish the point, Jim. If you have asked me a question, and this is the point, you're never going to compromise. You've never compromised. You're simply out here to whip up tension and mislead people. We have an opportunity to make the protocol work for people across Northern Ireland, unionists, nationalists, business people, farmers, everything else. We're prepared to listen. We're prepared to engage. If you just want to go down the path that everything is Dublin's fault, you're being broken off from the union, taking wild court cases and everything else, that's fine. That's your political agenda. Does it solve anyone's problems in terms of accessing medicines or foods? No. I'm in the business of solutions, Jim. I think if you're honest with yourself, you're not.
Mr. Richmond, you're in the position of playing the man rather than the ball because you've no answer to the points.
Okay, listen,
no,
we need to...
it's a moot point, Jim, and you've no interest in my answer because it's a false...
Okay.
Well, actually, Jim did ask some interesting questions. And while Neale Richmond didn't really respond to the question, I understand it's not really a valid question, but I'm going to try and respond to Jim anyway. So Jim raised a number of points here. The first he said was, would you be happy with a situation where 2/3 of laws governing your economy, the Irish economy in this case, were made in a foreign jurisdiction? Laws that you couldn't change, laws that you had no influence over. Well, my response to Jim would have been, I wish Neale Richmond had said this, I would have asked Jim, did you vote for Brexit? And Jim would have to say, yes, I did. And then I would say, then you voted to take away your responsibility, your representation. Why did you vote to take away your representation, Jim? Why did you do that? Jim is like, and I'm going to my analogies, of course. Jim is like somebody who took their car to the crusher. Now, Jim's family, his spouse or whatever, were telling him, please, Jim, don't take the car to the crusher, because if you take the car to the crusher and it's destroyed, we're not going to be able to, get around. We'll have to rely on maybe the bus, or we'll have to walk. it's better to have the car. And Jim said, I don't give a crap. I'm going to crush the car. I'm going to crush the car in order to punish you. The car gets crushed. And and following up from that, Jim is the type of person who returns, has no car, had it crushed, and is complaining about having to use public transport, complaining about having to walk, and blaming the boss, for example, for not taking him to the supermarket, blaming the boss for not going the route that he wants to. That's what they're doing here. They voted for Brexit. They crushed the current situation where Northern Ireland was part of the Union and part of the single market. That's gone now. They voted for that. That's what they wanted. They crushed the car. And now they're complaining that there is this consequence of crushing the car. They're complaining that they have to use public transport. They're complaining that they have to walk. And the solution would be, well, maybe you shouldn't have crushed the car, or we can have a new car. We can bring the car back, rejoin the single market and the customs union. But Jim doesn't want to do that. Jim crushed the car in order to punish other people in his country. He voted for Brexit because he wanted to punish the people of Northern Ireland. Now that the people of Northern Ireland and him are suffering the consequences, he's complaining about it. Now, there is a bus to get around. Is it perfect? No, it's not. The Northern Ireland Protocol, is it perfect? No, it's not. But it's mitigating some of the damage of Brexit. It's mitigating the fact that Jim doesn't have a car anymore. But Jim is not happy with the bus. Jim wants his family to suffer more. It's absurd. It's really absurd. But this is what Brexiteers in Northern Ireland are. Now, the Brexiteers in Great Britain are a little bit different. Many Brexiteers were promised if they crushed the car, there would be a new, Jaguar sitting in front of their home when they got back. Crush the car. Nigel Farage, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson said, once you crush that car, there will be a new Jaguar, leather seats, whatever, all for you when you get back. Now, many people, of course, returned, found no Jaguar. Many people returned, found a piece of junk that they actually had to pay to get removed. Many people returned to find a picture of a Jaguar. But in Northern Ireland, Jim punished his family. That's what he did. That's why he voted for Brexit, is to punish the people of Northern Ireland. His hope is to punish them even more. That's why you don't hear Jim talking about how maybe having a bus is a good idea. How having the protocol is protecting Northern Ireland from the consequences of not having a car, from the consequences of Brexit. We're seeing fuel shortages, supermarket shelves emptying in Great Britain, not in Northern Ireland. But people like Jim will never highlight that fact. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?